and over again, adult piano students tell me the same thing. They'll say, I took piano lessons for years, but it always felt like something was missing. On the surface, everything looked fine. They were playing pieces. Their teacher seemed satisfied. But internally, they didn't feel oriented. They didn't feel confident reading, and they couldn't quite explain why. What's interesting is this isn't something most students know how to name. They just feel it. And today I want to explain what that missing piece usually is and why so many intelligent, motivated adults sense it long before anyone else notices. Many adults actually describe it in the same way. They'll say things like, I was playing pieces, but I didn't feel oriented, or I have trouble restarting in the middle, or counting feels stressful. Or maybe if something goes wrong, then everything falls apart and I don't know how to fix it. From the outside, they looked like they were progressing. Inside, they didn't feel literate. And that creates a very specific kind of frustration because when your teacher isn't concerned, you assume the problem must be you. But that quiet doubt you felt, that sense that something wasn't solid, that wasn't insecurity, that was actually awareness. And here's why no one noticed. This is the tricky part. From the outside, everything can look fine. A student can play through a piece smoothly, they can hit the right notes, and even sound musical while they're doing it. But things like counting, reading, and navigation, these are all internal skills, and you can't always hear when they're missing. Most traditional piano lessons are listening for sound, not for literacy. So if the piece sounds okay, it's easy to assume that the student understands what they're doing. But in truth, many adults weren't actually reading. What they were doing is following finger numbers instead of reading the notes, memorizing patterns, guessing where to move next, counting loosely or probably not at all, and because they could still get through the piece, no one stopped to ask the questions that would have revealed the gap. This is where everything changes. Piano is not a pattern puzzle. Piano is a language. And just like a spoken language, you don't memorize sentences without understanding words. You don't rely on muscle memory to communicate. You learn how symbols and meaning and navigation all work together. Most adult students weren't failing. They were just progressing without a map. And this is actually why I created a free course for adult piano learners. Not to teach pieces, but to make these invisible skills visible. Things like reading the note before the finger number, and this is a big deal. Understanding the keyboard as a map. Counting out loud with subdivision. Knowing where you are at all times. If this video is resonating with you, the free course will help you put language to what you've been sensing. You can find it linked down below. Now, let me show you what changes when these skills are finally named. Fluent pianists use certain skills automatically, but those skills are rarely taught explicitly. These are skills like reading the note first with finger numbers as a support, not the other way around. You need to read them both simultaneously, except that note name has to come just slightly ahead. Navigating the keyboard instead of locking into hand positions. Counting rhythm in a way that stabilizes the body and the mind, and it helps you focus and understand much better what you're doing. And shifting positions smoothly without panicking. Anyone who has played the piano for a long time, if you've seen them, anyone who is comfortable playing, their hands are moving all over the place. Well, they didn't just learn to do that overnight. There is a way of building up to that. And if you weren't taught this explicitly, of course it's going to feel hard. When these skills are present, everything actually feels much calmer, and it isn't because the music is any easier, but it's because the system is finally starting to make sense. And this is usually the moment when adult students say something like, "Oh, this is what I was missing. I was never taught this." This is not a trick or a hack. It's not even more practice. It's really just clarity. And once the language is clear, the reading settles, counting stabilizes, and confidence grows. And piano stops feeling like something you're constantly trying to hold together. If you've ever felt like you were playing but not really learning, depended on patterns, unsure of where you were actually reading or what you were actually reading, then this is exactly the course for you. It will help you understand why piano felt hard, identify gaps you couldn't name, start rebuilding with clarity instead of frustration. You'll find it linked below. You weren't bad at piano. You aren't bad at piano. You weren't too old. You weren't missing talent. You were learning without the language being explained. And once you have the language, then you gain freedom to play anything you want. In the next video, I'll talk more about some of these invisible skills.